Well, if you didn't guess, this is a monument put up by the United Steelworkers of America to commemorate one of their leaders. And it's great to have these monuments in our town, and one of the things I wish we had was a few more monuments to peacekeepers. Now, in Cyprus, we had what was called a total force approach to peacekeeping. That meant the part-time militia soldiers and the full-time regular force soldiers. We don't have a National Guard in Canada, and thus we don't have the constitutional wrangling about deploying it that they have in America. And yet, in our urban emergency plans, we don't mention either militia or regular forces very much. There's one community in British Columbia that does mention them. They live near a base, but bases could play a big role in urban emergency planning. Well, enough of that. Let's go to Cyprus and see what the part-time and regular troops were doing. 68 reserve soldiers from across Canada volunteered to serve in Cyprus with the 1st Battalion, the Royal Canadian Regiment. Commanding Officer Lieutenant Colonel Norris Pettis explains how they fit in.
These people have been integrated as individuals right into the fabric of the unit. So rather than having them as an ad hoc platoon or section dumped into one of our organizations, they are coming as individuals fitting right into the section. They're one of the team, they're one of us.
Lieutenant Donald of the Queen's Own Rifles of Canada in Toronto commands a mixed platoon of reserve and regular force soldiers.
Well, I'm a platoon commander of a city company, and I basically have two responsibilities. My first one is to patrol a certain area on the line in the city. We basically have two kinds of patrols. There's a foot patrol and a mounted patrol. And 1 out of every 5 days we serve as duty officers, which means for a 24-hour period we are the city company duty officer responsible for anything that happens.
One of Lieutenant Donald's non-commissioned officers is Master Corporal Darrell Birch of the Grey and Simcoe Foresters from Owen Sound. He's found himself in several challenging situations.
My job as a line NCO, I usually have to respond to problems that can't be dealt with at the private level. And one day there was a new light that was on one of the OPs, one of the observation posts, and it was shining across the buffer zone onto an observation post of the opposing side. And there was a complaint registered, and I went out and dealt with it and had the light removed.
Reserve soldiers also serve as staff officers in the Joint Operations Center of the Canadian Contingent.
I prepare a summary of all the incidents that have happened in the buffer zone between the two opposing forces that have occurred in the past 24 hours. And provide a synopsis, a briefing to the commanding officer, the representative of the companies and other key appointments within the battalion, and update everyone on the current status within the Sector 3, the Canadian sector on the line.
575 soldiers have to be housed, transported, clothed, and fed. Corporal Kevin Glanville of the 23rd Service Battalion in Hamilton is a cook. He can prepare over 200 meals at a time for his fellow soldiers. But he's still a soldier first and can face any of the challenges of his colleagues.
I'd be called out at any time. They come up to me now and say, right, go dry your weapon. I throw on my uniform, my webbing, get my weapon, go out and help out with the security if I have to. I do basically whatever they need to be done around here.
Sergeant Blondin sums up how he and his fellow part-time soldiers fit in.
We're doing the exact same job as the regular force soldiers. Right from the private up to the sergeant to the warrant officer, we're all doing the same job.
Allan Bonner in Nicosia, Cyprus.